Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from SegaCDUniverse.com and GravesideEntertainment.com, and this is a video response to a good YouTube friend of mine, KeithyHuntington, aka KeithyHuntington. I will put his name down in the description. Definitely check him out. He's very good. Keithy is a big Sega CD guy like myself, big FMV fan, a big Sega fan in general. So he had done a video. It was about 30 minutes long, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Keith, by the way. And he said, you know, if you want to do a video response or whatnot, so I decided to do one. It pretty much ran or touched upon, you know, his childhood in terms of gaming, and then what he liked or felt over the years and his gaming history. So I'm going to try and make it sort of brief, but it may be like 5-10 minutes. The first memory I have from gaming as a kid was we lived in this big apartment complex in the Bronx, and in every apartment was a different family member. So my grandparents were, I want to say they were upstairs. My great-grandmother was downstairs. Across the hall from my grandparents was my great-aunt and my great-uncle. Down in the basement was us, and then above us in another regular apartment, we had like a basement apartment, was the only one who I think wasn't related, but they were close family friends. And I still speak to the daughter, actually. So my grandparents, they always kind of just bought new stuff. Like if a DVD player came out, they'd buy it. I don't know if they necessarily would use it often, but they seemed pretty up on things, and I'm not sure why, which is funny because you think grandparents and you think they're not going to want something like this. So this had to be back in, I mean, I had to be about 4, I'm going to guess, so maybe 5, so 87, 88, and they had a Nintendo. I remember specifically they had Duck Hunt, because I used to go up to the TV and cheat and stick the gun up to the TV and push the button. They also had Kung Fu, which I found to be difficult, but I always enjoyed it, and obviously Mario Brothers. And I just always remember going up there and wanting to play all the time, and eventually I had gotten my own system. And we would go down the block. We had this video store, like a bodega, like corner store, candy shop across the street. And the video store had tons of Nintendo games. My parents would take me and I'd rent games, and it was always like the worst thing when you get to the fucking game store and you see this awesome like box, and you look at it and you go, wow, this looks great. And you read the back of it and it sounded all cool and shit. The pictures looked good. And you bring it home and it was nothing like what you wanted to play. I remember specifically, what's that game? It's not called Hyrule. It's Highlight. I think it's called Highlight. Hold on. I think that's it. Yeah, Highlight for the NES. I remember looking at the cover and going, wow, it's like, you know, you're fighting dragons and you're this like warrior, and I thought it was all cool looking, and I brought it home and it was like kind of a weird RPG, but like very difficult. And I was a kid, so I really wasn't like very, did it just get really dark? Hold on. Alright. Good enough. So I was a kid, and, you know, I'm trying to play Highlight, or Highlight, that's it. There's a D in there, Highlight. And I found it to be extremely difficult, and like, it just pissed me off. So that was my, always my memory of that, and like renting Ninja Gaiden and Mega Man. There's a couple of Mega Man games as a kid I really enjoyed. River City Ransom, stuff like that. Circus Caper, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So that was like pretty much my gaming history for the Nintendo. Then I had friends that I'm still close with, my friend Nicky, hey Nick, and he would, you know, he'd have all the new systems, and we'd always play at his house. My parents were very, in hindsight, you know, I mean I knew this then, but you really appreciate it when you get older. My parents are really great people, and as a kid they really always tried to do for me. And you know, I had a Nintendo. They eventually got me a Super Nintendo. And I remember one year, I don't remember what it was for, I got a Sega Genesis, I had a Game Gear. So I mean, I was pretty well off in terms of, I don't think we were like rich by any means. But we, you know, they tried to go out of their way to get me things, so that was always very nice. My father even ordered me a Sega Vision subscription out of the blue as a like a, not a secret, you know, without telling me. So it was a surprise, that's the word I was looking for, it's a secret. So I started getting those in the mail when I was about 8 or 9, around there, and that was really cool to get those, you know, because back then the internet, I didn't have it, or it wasn't really, I don't even know if it was prevalent. and you know, it was just great getting these magazines in the mail, reading all on them and stuff, all up on the new games. The next thing I would say was, I guess, the early 90s. My friend Nicky, the same Nicky that I'm talking about, Nicky R, I don't want to say his last name, he lived in the Bronx as well. I went to his house, and we popped in Sewer Shark, and he's like, hey, check out the Sega CD. I was so blown away by the FMV. I mean, I know KeithyHuntington said the same thing in his video. It looked, and it still does, even though it's grainy and sometimes on this, you know, only part of the screen, it just looked so real to me. I couldn't believe that they made a game that looked like this. If I could say, like, I watched a video earlier where they said, I think it was the Happy Console Gamer, he had said when he played Mario from 2D to 3D, it blew his mind. This blew my mind. This was the big jump for me. And people may laugh and say, but FMV sucks, you can't control much of it. You know, it died off to a degree. They only show it now in cutscenes. To me, it was just the coolest thing. I've never, until this day, I don't think anything's really done that to me. It was just very different, and whether it was a novelty then or because it didn't stick, I still find it very, very intriguing. So even till this day, if I find computer games that they make that are full motion video, and when I say full motion video, I don't mean computer generated rendered graphics, I mean like a live action with real people, like kind of like a movie. They still do it for me. I still think they're great. So that was like a big deal for me, seeing Sewer Shark. We kept dying over and over and over, not realizing that there's call signs. You have to watch the little arrows indicating which way you have to turn. And if you don't turn the right way and follow the directions, you keep crashing into the walls. Excuse me, I slurped that up like a Japanese person eating soup. So, what else? My other friend Nicky, this is Nicky M, not Nicky R. He had a Sega CD, but at this point it was long gone. The system was pretty much dead, and it definitely was dead because PlayStation 1 was out. And he had, I guess, gotten bored of it, so eventually I think he sold me the system and the games, or just the games, I don't remember. He had like Lunar and Popful Mail, all these really cool titles. And I think for Christmas one year I bought him a game for the Sega CD. What else? We play a lot of wrestling titles on the PlayStation 1. What's that one called? Not Virtual Pro Wrestling. Power Move Wrestling on the Super Nintendo. That was always fun. WCW, was it Versus the World? What was the one on the PlayStation? Hold on one second. It was called, was it Nitro? Yeah, Versus the World. That was it. Okay, yeah, that was it. I think Ric Flair was in it, I remember that. So we used to play a lot of wrestling games. So that was kind of little bits of memories up to the PlayStation 1 era. The N64 did really blow me away with Mario, even though I'm not a fan. I did like the rendition, you know, the 3D rendition, but I find the N64 to be hard to go back to now and look at. It doesn't do it for me graphically. I don't like the polygons or whatever the hell you want to call it. But even with the N64's graphics and stuff, it still didn't, to me, compare to the Sega CDs at full motion video. Another thing, I remember when we had the PlayStation, we had played a bunch of demos, and one of my first games I played, which is a weird one to really remember, was Jumping Flash. It's like a first-person game where you're inside of a bunny, and you're jumping around inside this robotic bunny, but it looks almost like a carnival. It's like you're jumping on like rails and like different things in like a carnival. So it was kind of interesting. Not really a great game or a good game, but interesting. Come here, Belle. Come here. Someone wants to see you on camera. Come here. Come here. Where are you going? She doesn't want to come. So, what else? Then I worked at GameStop from about 18 to I think 21. And then I started working at the place I'm at currently. And I'm 29 now, so it's almost 8 years. At GameStop, there was a shady manager I had who had said, if you can sell enough of the Game Informer subscriptions with this stupid card that gives you 10% off, we're going to give you an Xbox. We'll do like an in-house contest. So I'm like, alright, this is awesome. And I wanted that Xbox. So at that point, did I have any other systems? I might have had a GameCube, or I don't even remember. I had a PS2. Definitely had a PS2. I don't remember what else I had at that point. So he was really shady, and he said, do whatever it takes to get these things out the door. So I said, well, what do you want us to do? He's like, well, I don't know, give them free strategy guides. And I'm like, but strategy guides are $15. They're not buying a strategy guide. They need it for free. And he's like, yeah, sell them the subscription for $10. Yeah, they'll get the game informer, they'll get the 10% card, right? And then throw in a free strategy guide. So what I did was, anytime someone came up to the desk with a strategy guide, I would say, instead of paying $15 for this, you could pay $10, get a subscription, get the guide, and explain the whole spiel. And they'd always go for it, because you're saving $5 and you're getting much more, product. Little did I know, he was just, I guess, putting them in the system as stolen, and he didn't even care they were going missing. He just wanted to get subscriptions, because that's how you kind of keep your job there. So that was fucked up. And he, the system, I believe he got from a conference or something. So it was like a gift from our company to the store, and instead of him keeping it, which is what the managers normally would do, he had then passed it along in his contest, which was kind of generous of him. So I won the Xbox, and it came with a Conflict Desert Storm, and I'm not a big military guy, so I swapped it out for Toe Jam and Earl, which I loved. I almost beat it, but I never did. Excuse me. Talking so much, my throat's getting dry. So, Toe Jam and Earl was one of the first games I think I had for the Xbox, the original Xbox, and my friends and I loved the Xbox. I mean, we would play everything. We played Halo, but the primary ones were like Phantasy Star Online, or was it Universe? No, it was online, right? I don't remember. Anyway, come here, Belle. Come here. Here we go. Come here, baby girl. What are you doing? Well, come up. Come up. We're filming. Come on. Oh, hey there. Hey there. You want to talk about your Dreamcast games? The collection? Okay. So, I'm trying to drink out of my cup of water. Mustache man. So, okay, booping. So, we would play Link's Golf a lot. For some reason, and I'm not a golf fan, we would play Link's for hours and hours. It was such like a casual, fun game that just bullshit and wind down for the night. I know my friends online would be drinking. I wouldn't be. And we just like play holes of golf and talk. Lots of Rainbow Six, like really like strategically like hiding behind things and covering each other. Trying to think of what else. Is it Battle Street Spike Out? What's that other one? Spike Out? Yeah, Spike Out Battle Street. That was like a Final Fight online game I used to play later in the Xbox's life online. I was just so enamored that I could play with all my friends online and not have to leave the house. I mean, you sit at home, you don't feel good, you're tired, it's 3 in the morning, whatever. You want to play a game, with friends, but you don't want the hassle of having to go to pick someone up or whatever. Bye, Stella. It was just great. I mean, that was a big step for me in terms of online gaming. So the main ones for me, besides first seeing a Nintendo and then seeing the Sega CD slow motion video, the next big one was the original Xbox for me, which is another reason the Xbox will always be near and dear to me. Because even though I knew gaming on the Dreamcast and stuff was online, I didn't have a Dreamcast at that point, it was still with phone lines, it was still through the phone lines, where these were now playing through Ethernet and through, stuff like that. I did have a video previously talking about how I had hooked up a third-party peripheral to get my PS2 online and play Tony Hawk on the internet with the Ethernet, which was cool. That was a big memory for me too. But the Xbox really did it for me because it had the headset and all that. I just felt like it really got it right. Even though I think Sony Online is very good now as well, because I have a Vita and I really think the online service is good. What else? After the 64, the Nintendo scene kind of dropped off for me. I had a GameCube. I really wasn't thrilled with it. I got a Game Boy Advance years later, and I ended up playing a couple games, River City Ransom, Shining Force, and then I just sold it. Nintendo never really grasped it for me again after that. I bought a Dreamcast after its prime, when it was dead. I think that was like 30 or 40 bucks. I had a very big collection I said it was a lot of games, like 180 games. I think I was wrong. I think it was more like 80 or 90. But I was just buying garbage. I was buying anything that had Dreamcast logo because GameStop still had them at that point. They were cheap. So now I ended up eventually selling my Dreamcast and all of its games. I regretted that fairly recently, and I ended up purchasing 2 Dreamcasts, a broadband adapter. I got about 40 to 50 games for it now, but every game I have is either really good quality or just a game I really like. Like some of them are just rare and I wanted to try them out, like Sega Gaga. I have a Japanese version of Tech Romancer. I have a couple King of Fighters game, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So I tried to really keep it Rent a Hero #1. I tried to keep it to things I really wanted to play and not just buying stuff because they were Dreamcast related. I've come to a point in my life where I'd rather have quality over quantity, and I don't have as much time for gaming. You get older, you're married, I don't have kids, but you have kids, you're married, you have pets, you have all this stuff going on, and to sit down for hours and hours every day, it just ain't happening. So, here and there, and to really play the games you really want to check out, that you really want to play, is what I do at this point. What else? I also had a Virtual Boy at one point, years later after it died, and I sold that. Never bought that back because I wasn't into it. I had a Saturn. I was into it, but I sold it. I think at one point I had kind of like purged. I had said, I don't need all this stuff anymore. I was at this point learning to tattoo a little bit. I had a friend at the time I don't speak to anymore who had been teaching me, and I was focusing purely on that. I really wasn't playing games. So I think I was like, yeah, what do I need this Virtual Boy? Yeah, what do I need the Saturn for? What do I need this Dreamcast for? I'm really lucky I didn't do that with my Sega CD because it crossed my mind, definitely. It's like, I have all these games, I don't really play them that much, but I'm really glad I never sold it because at this point, hindsight, I don't speak to the friend anymore. I never tattooed after that because something happened with the friend that I put a bad taste in my mouth, and I ended up kind of being turned off to the whole thing. Even though I was learning and I thought doing pretty well for myself in terms of picking up the trade. So I had gotten rid of the Saturn, gotten rid of the Virtual Boy, and then little by little I got the 360, and then I also had the 3DO. About the same time I had the Saturn and the Virtual Boy, and I loved the 3DO. And again, I sold it, and I always regretted it. So the 3DO and the Dreamcast had been purchased back by me within the past year, I would say. Maybe the 3DO is a little longer than that. And till this day, I still play it. The 3DO, Keithy, if you don't have one, check it out, KeithyHuntington. The 3DO has really quality FMV titles. It's stronger than a Sega CD, so obviously the FMV is nicer. Great games on there. And a lot of computer stuff that came to the 3DO in terms of ports. But that's it. So now I have my 360 and my Vita. I really enjoy them. I don't get enough time with them as I'd like, but I find myself playing the Vita a lot lately because it's easy to play at work during lunch, or if you're out or something. I'm loving my Vita. For me, Sony makes the best handheld games. I love the PSP, and I really love the Vita. I think hands down, it's the best. In terms of home consoles, I really enjoy my Microsoft console. I like the Xboxes. Not to say I wouldn't like a PS3 or PS4, but I just always stuck with them because I think they made that initial impression with me. Until this day, I play my 3DO. My Sega CD doesn't get as much love, but there are some games I want to go back and beat, like Cobra Space Adventure. But the 3DO we still play, especially like the board games like Twisted and Zatnos, The People's Party. The Dreamcast, we still play Fire Pro D. My friend Brian Fury and I the other day, who's from the other Fire Pro video and other videos, he's played some games with me on camera. He beat Dynamite Cop with me the other night, like what, 3 nights ago. So till this day, I really enjoy the old consoles and I appreciate them. And that's about it. As for new memories, there's things that stick out: The Darkness and Phantasy Star Online, Phantasy Star Universe, Army of Two, Alan Wake. I'm trying to think what else. Silent Hill games were pretty cool. Those stuck out to me in the recent years with the HD collection. So there's some new stuff that sticks out to me as well, but that's pretty much a 19-minute and 52-second rendition of my gaming history. I also had a Neo Geo Pocket Color at one point. I had about 30 or 40 games. I ended up stopping playing it. I played the PSP all the time. I ended up getting rid of it. I kind of wish I didn't get rid of that either, but that's not something I would reinvest in because I don't play handhelds enough. You know, besides my my Vita, which just is so great. So that's it, Keithy. Thank you for the question. I mean, it was a cool question, and you know, I love talking to people and sharing my memories and my thoughts. And if I think anything else soon, I'll do a video. I know people like hearing about memories, and I do as well. I think it kind of puts you on a personal level with the you know, YouTuber. I was so itchy tonight. Does that mean you're gonna get money, or what does that mean? Get into a fight? So thanks guys for watching. It's Vampire Mike from SegaCDUniverse.com and GravesideEntertainment.com. Be good.